rain and the seasons and the cycles of life and those sort of things. So, you grew up in a big city, you don't really have any concern about that. Yeah, you
No,
hear about,
no, no, no.
prices going down and it affects, of course, our economy. All that stuff
Yeah,
affects
yeah,
our economy, our agriculture and things like that. So, for instance, this year, right, we had a really wet year. The farmers didn't get their harvest
yeah.
on until sometime
Oh yeah,
in the
almost
spring here.
end of the May maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so, yeah, so I really haven't, I would have never been concerned about that in the past, but now I'm concerned about that because my people are concerned about that, right? And it really affects our city. So I've been shaped in that way a lot. I would think,
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
just given me a more global concern and a wider concern, I guess, for
Okay.
the things that are going on rather
Yeah,
than, in the city life, you're just really concerned about yourself and your
yeah,
immediate surroundings, right?
yeah, yeah,
Where here it's been extended a little bit.
yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
thing.
I used to have an actual puppy when I was back in Korea, but it's mostly my father's and the mother.
Mm.
And then my wife really want to have a puppy, and then we moved into here.
Yeah.
Easy to have a puppy. We have backyard, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
we
lots
can
of
go.
space,
Yeah,
right?
lots of space actually. And then again, it changed me a lot. Thinking about animal, and then thinking
Yeah,
about the land as you
yeah,
just mentioned, and
yeah,
then worry about the weather.
yeah.
I never worry about the weather
No,
before.
no.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, because you have shelter, if it's bad weather, you just go inside and life
Yeah,
keeps
yeah,
on going, right? While here
exactly.
it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
bit
yeah. I
more.
can go on the ground, and then I
Yeah,
don't care about the weather. It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
affect me a lot. But
yeah,
now,
yeah.
and would you do you have any kind of story of the city have, and do you know any story that the city itself has have any narrative the city
Up with Tasman?
with Tuscan has?
Um, like, is there anything that?
Anything and then affect you. If you don't have any
Yeah,
narrative, then that's okay.
yeah. I mean, as far as the city, when we first came here, right, you start to realize really quick that's another part of the nature of this town is the reserve down south, right?
Yeah,
So the people you're ministering to have been affected by that, and include some of those people as well. So a lot of the things we do, as far as well, you would know that too, as far as how you serve the community,
yeah, yeah.
you have to think about
Oh yeah, absolutely.
our neighbors to the south there, and
Yeah.
so, but
They're
we've started to
part of
do
the
some, a Christmas meal like
Yeah,
you guys
really
have always
appreciate it.
done,
Yeah.
but we've started to do that and those
Yeah.
sort of things. So those are sort of things that we've done to
So you change your program.
changing our programming a little bit to
Oh.
go, okay, we really got to think about how we can meet the needs of the great needs of the people that are down there, and really think of them as our people. It's not them
No,
and
no.
us, right?
Oh,
This is
yeah.
all part of the fabric of our communities.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
and it's really helped. The relationship with the mayor and the council has really helped in that. I've been working close with him, and we've had a bit of a friendship.
Yeah,
But I know
yeah.
he's very concerned about
Yeah,
them. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
guess.
yeah. 10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Conversation has been.
yeah, I know.
I haven't moved in the next page.
No, I know. I talk too much.
No, no, no. Really appreciate what
Yeah,
you're saying.
yeah.
Actually, what do you really appreciate about this city? What kind of strength do you think the city? You already mentioned quite a bit.
Yeah.
But would you maybe add it on more? Maybe what do you appreciate? What the strength the city
Yeah,
is?
if I would just maybe encapsulate it in a couple of words, stability would be a good one. So it's stable families. Of course you get touched by the culture around you. Everybody does, but I like the fact that as a city we don't try to keep up as much with what's going on out there. So
Yeah.
so in terms of divorce rates or that happens, it happens, but it's a little bit slower. Just more of a conservative sort of feel that I enjoy about this town.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
stability,
Yeah,
conservativity.
yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy that.
Exactly. Do you find any challenge? Because you've been here almost middle age, you are, and then did any change? Maybe challenge for you?
Yeah, challenges personally would be bringing up children is a little bit more challenging because of the culture and
Yeah.
because of our neighbors to the south. The high school that my children, one is already in and the other ones are coming up to. It can be a little bit of a challenge. Like
Yeah.
and the other thing about the community is that there's only one school in town. So where I grew up in the city, I could have my church life and nobody would see me in my school life. And here everything is combined. So
Even the student, I mean the children.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah, so anybody that's in school, if my son does something wrong or whatever, or if another kid does something wrong, my son knows about it. If my son something does the other kids in church know about it, right? So it's more, everything is magnified a little bit more with a smaller town. So that's a challenge sometimes.
Do you think the city is growing, and or
No,
do you think why?
I don't know. I think it has something to do with Massachusetts. Because Camrose grows, right? Camrose grows.
Yeah.
Leduc is
Leduc,
closer to Edmonton, so
yeah.
it's going to grow naturally. But and so I think that's part of it. I think maybe our people who are in charge of the city maybe aren't as forward thinking. They stifle growth rather than encourage growth.
Yeah.
So
I haven't seen quite a empty in a business
Yeah.
spot, and
yeah, there's lots of. I think part of it is because there's maybe 2 or 3 families or individuals that own most of the land, and they're not as quick to sell off. They want to hold on to it rather than. So yeah, sometimes there's probably needs to be a little bit more vision for growth and expansion.
do you have ever seen maybe we can see quite a bit of sign of shalom, in this city, Do you ever seen any kind of sign of decay?
Well, I just think if you leave things as they are, if you're trying to hold on to your property or whatever it is, or if you're just trying to keep things going the way they are, they're going to naturally decay. So you have to really have a vision for growth in order to prevent decay. If you have a vision just to keep things the way they are, it's going to naturally decay.
Yeah. Just a few more questions, and then I'm gonna wrap it up.
I'm trying to answer quicker.
No, it's doing good, really good. The beginning part really, I learned a lot actually. I haven't seen sign of decay. Just only a few people actually hold it, kind of, a lot of stuff in here.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard.
No,
from
it's
anybody.
mostly stayed the
but
same.
yeah, very interesting. What is the kind of core practice do you think people engage in here?
A kind of cult practice?
Core practice, such as maybe what kind of activity people do, and then.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean.
What about your kid?
Yeah, our kids are into sports. So our sons played hockey for a long time, and that was an interesting thing too. That sort of mirrored our experience in the church. It was hard to get in because the kids that have been here have been growing up, and all of a sudden a new kid from out of town comes in. Well, it's very hard for them to relate. So, but yeah, very sports-minded activity, and then agriculture. So I know we tried to get our kids into 4-H and things like that. So
yeah. Do you think it's a city maybe a kind of exclusive maybe for new people? Do you think?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Just by not purposely, but just.
But because they're family-oriented kind of society.
That's right, family-oriented and very insulated. I find.
Okay.
There's not, and that's because there's not a lot of people moving in and out all the time. It's not a very transitory city, for good or for bad, right?
Yeah. Just 2 more questions, and then I'll wrap it up. How do you, kind of city neighborhood, I think how they define, the success? What is definition good life for people?
Yeah.
Not for you.
No, I would say.
In here.
Yeah, I would say I find that it's interesting that people define success by possessions, because it's not a like economically you wouldn't say it's a very what's the word I'm thinking of as far as rich. There's a word, but I can't think of it right now. But so it's not very prosperous. It's not a very prosperous town, but yet people have huge, nice trucks and all the toys in their houses. Like they don't have big houses generally, but they have all the toys. So I find I feel like that them for a definition of success is to it's to have stuff to be able to show that we're successful, right? So possessions.